They showed up with cops and a clipboard, thinking they were about to evict me from their property. HOA Karen stood smugly in front of my cabin, waving some phony violation notice like it was the law. But what she didn't know? I wasn't. Just the tenant. I was the landlord of the entire complex. That's right. Every cabin on that hill, every plot, every tree, it all belonged to me. So when she barked at the officer to remove the trespasser, I just pulled out one document. Deed. Ownership. Control. You should have seen the look on her face when the officer read it aloud. Her authority vanished in seconds in my next move. Let's just say the HOA president was looking for a new place to live by sunset. The air was crisp and silent that morning as I sipped my coffee on the porch of cabin number 12. Nestled in a private complex, I'd spent years building up 12 luxurious log-style cabins surrounded by forest, lake access, and tranquility I'd earned through hard work. The place was always fully booked in the summer, except when I blocked one out for myself to escape city chaos. But my peaceful retreat was shattered by the unmistakable sound of forced authority. Knock, dash, knock, dash, knock. Open the door to find a woman in a cheap blazer and a badge clipped to her cardigan. Karen. President of the HOA. Beside her stood 2 uniformed officers and a clipboard thick with printed pages. You're in violation of multiple HOA codes, she snapped, before I could even say good morning, and you need to vacate the premises immediately. I blinked, stunned, half wondering if this was a prank. This is my cabin, I said plainly. You must have the wrong person. But Karen's smile only widened. She launched into a monologue about unauthorized short-term rentals, noise complaints, which was funny. Considering I'd been here alone, unapproved porch furniture, and failure to register my stay with the HOA's check-in authority. The officer closest to me looked awkward as she talked, clearly sensing something was off. Sir, he said finally, do you have proof of residence or ownership? That's when I went inside, calmly retrieved the full binder I keep for insurance purposes, and handed it over.
Not just residence,
I said coolly.
I own.
This cabin and all 11 others. Their eyes widened slightly as the documents spoke for themselves. Deeds, tax records, everything showing that I wasn't just staying here. I was the sole owner of the entire complex. Karen's smug face collapsed faster than a Jenga tower after a toddler tantrum. That can't be right, she stammered, pointing a trembling finger at her clipboard. These properties are under our HOA jurisdiction. I walked out to the porch, motioning toward the hill. Karen, your own cabin, cabin number 80S, on my land. I let the previous owner form an informal HOA for aesthetics and maintenance, but I never signed over authority. You've been playing president on land you don't control. The officers looked at each other, then at me, then at Karen. Ma'am, one of them said, you called us out here for an illegal eviction, and it seems you're the one in violation. Karen turned red, then white, then stormed down the steps without another word, heels clacking like she still had dignity. But I wasn't finished, not even close. Karen didn't take the humiliation well. Within 24 hours, she'd filed half a dozen bogus complaints with the county claiming code violations, environmental issues, and even hinted at health hazards. I knew her type, who's to bossing people into submission and now spiraling because she'd just tried to evict the very man who held the keys to her house. But I don't play defense, I play offense. I hired my property attorney to review the HOA's bylaws and found the golden ticket. The HOA never filed a proper charter with the county, had no official voting record of leadership, and more importantly, had collected dues illegally from every cabin owner, money that now counted as misappropriated funds under civil law. Since I owned the land, I legally dissolved the fake HOA the next week with one notarized filing and sent CSAHN desist notices to every board member, especially Karen. Her reign was over, but I didn't stop there. I also raised Karen's rent. Cabin number 8 was under a lease that expired in 45 days, and I had every right to raise her monthly rent by 60% based on market value. I gave her notice, citing changes in ownership structure. She came storming to my office with a printed letter of protest. I didn't even let her in. Put it in writing, I said through the Ring camera. Make sure your next check. Clearsy didn't realize I was already preparing to convert cabin number 8 into a high-end VRBO unit, which meant I wouldn't be renewing her lease at all. As word spread, the other HOA members began calling me in a panic. Most were good. Folks who didn't even know the HOA had no legal power and were shocked to learn they'd been paying Karen hundreds a year for nothing. I refunded the honest ones, offered fair terms on continued services, invited them to form a real community advisory board, voluntary, transparent, and with no Karens allowed. When Karen finally moved out, it wasn't with grace. She left. Passive-aggressive notes in drawers, took all the toilet paper, and even tried to steal a decorative owl off the porch. I caught it on camera and sent her a petty invoice. $24.99 plus tax. She paid it. The summer after she left, the cabins were fully booked and peace returned. Sometimes I still sit on that porch at cabin number 12, watching new guests arrive, drinking my coffee while the birds chirp and the trees sway gently. No more bogus fines, no more fake authority. Just the satisfaction of knowing that when Karen tried to take over, she didn't just lose. She got evicted from her fantasy world, too.